Sounds like a good idea. Okay. So Sarah, you look a little frozen, and so does Judith. I'm not sure if it's me or you. Do you ladies hear me?
I can hear you, but I seem to be frozen.
Yeah, Judith is also frozen. Interesting. Okay. I mean, whatever. We'll go with it. I mean, interesting. I don't know why.
Let me stop my video and start again.
Yeah. Oh, now we see.
Okay. No,
Okay.
no. Yeah, okay. All right.
Your camera. Yeah, there you go. All right. And Judith is also, but I think she's driving on highways, which between here and Dallas, you lose reception, you lose.
Okay,
oh, there you go. You're back. She's back. Okay. So this week's Mishnah, I think, is like a really interesting segue from the last Mishnah that we discussed. We discussed last week about judgment and how do we judge someone favorably? How do we, and we contrasted the judgment of like, meaning be fair in judgment. What does that mean? And we also like, where is judgment in the place of dealing with people and society and ourselves? How do we judge ourselves? How don't we judge ourselves? How do we not get caught by this trap of like, well, don't judge anyone for anything, but then can we learn how to make healthy choices for ourselves? So I think hopefully we discussed somewhat the balance between those two seemingly contradictory ideas, even though we all know they're not contradictions, right? That they're not mutually exclusive. We discussed, judging oneself overly, like harshly at a micro level personally, and then we discussed on a macro level. And we even discussed, I'm pretty sure, how society would really do better if we were just a tad less judgmental. And we said sometimes when we role model what it means to strive and work harder and improve and be better, then those around us see like, wow, that person's a growing, evolving person. And they can see how we're almost like judging ourselves and moving, pushing the envelope and growing. And that can help them, it's the tool of modeling, right? Being a role model. So the one that I want to focus on today, I think it's like a really interesting segue, and I don't actually think we're going to cover the full Mishnah today because there's so much in it. But we got to at least take a dive. So on page 30, Mishnah Yud Beis, and Mishnah Yud Beis is talking about Hillel the Shammai kiblu mehem, okay? Hillel and Shammai received these teachings, okay? Fine, interesting. The passage says from Shmai and Avtalion, that's who they learned these ideas from, meaning they were Torah ideas that weren't new. None of these concepts, like we said, none of these ideas in Pirkei Avot are like new revolutionary ideas. It's just this is where it's being documented. And a lot of Pirkei Avot is dealing with our ethics and our interpersonal skills. And just this is where where we can turn to look for those. So then it goes into, okay, that they both learned this lesson. However, here it's focusing on Hillel. Hillel says, Heve mitalmidav shel Aaron, actually, Sarah, do you want to read?
Yeah, sure.
Go ahead.
In Hebrew or English?
Whatever you want, Hebrew or English.
I'll read it in English. Hillel says, you should be students of Aaron HaKohen and learn from his traits. Be someone who loves peace and pursues peace by helping others to make peace. One who loves all fellow creatures and brings them close to Torah. Okay, so what is this? Again, we always, whenever we're learning a Mishnah that has different sections, we always kind of try to understand what's the connectivity. There's a reason they're all in here together. So be like the disciples of Aaron. So what does it mean to be Aaron's student? What did Aaron personify? What does it mean to be his student? What does it mean to learn from him? Why is this specifically a character? Let's say Hillel lived, I forgot exactly what year, I wrote it down. Hold on. Why can't I find it? Oh, it says here in the book. Hillel was in 1112 BCE. Why is he looking back in the year 3648? Why is he, of all the historical characters he's kind of focusing on, why is he focusing on Aaron? Why not Moses? Why not Miriam? Why not, there are so many other giants, Joshua, like why specifically is Aaron the sage that is resonating most with Hillel? Question number one. And then what else is he saying? Okay, love peace. What is it that Aaron personified? So he explains, Ohev Shalom, he loved peace. Aaron was a person who loved peace. Rodev Shalom, he also pursued peace.
So what's the difference between love peace and pursuing peace? I could love being in a peaceful place, but I don't necessarily pursue it or help others pursue it. So what is the difference between that? Ohev et habriot, love all creatures. Creatures is an interesting word. Why creatures? Okay, why not humans? Creatures is interesting. Umikarvan la Torah, and draw them close to Torah. What's going on here? Like, there's a lot to unpack here. So Sarah, if you don't mind starting with a friend to all, that would be great, because I think it's a really good.
When Aaron the Kohen saw a person who needed to improve his character or behavior, he would greet him warmly, befriend him, and spend time speaking with him. The person would think to himself, Aaron must think I am a good person, so he is spending time with me. If he only knew my true thoughts and deeds, he would not even look at me. I'm not sure they would all think that.
Okay.
Let me change my ways so I will be worthy of his admiration. This teaches that the way to bring people closer to the path of Torah is through kindness and friendship. If you show them that you believe in their goodness, which everyone has within their neshama, then you will certainly reach them.
Now, I'm sure if you look at 82, if we go to the back, I'm sure this sounds like it's part of the Rebbe's teachings. Like I probably one of the Rebbe's talks. I didn't even look at the footnote, but it just sounds very much the style of the Rebbe. So what's going on here is, first of all, who was Hillel that Hillel felt compelled to share Aaron's thoughts? And what is it about being loving peace, being a peace-loving person, pursuing peace, and loving your fellow? What is that? What's the correlation between these three and bringing them close to Torah? And is it almost like, why is this an artificial thing? Why does it say creatures? There's a lot of really good questions right away. Sarah, can I ask you a question? Since it's just you and I, do you want to pause the recording and jump back to our conversation? Your call.
No, I'm happy with this.
Okay, perfect. I just want to make sure. I want to respect it.
No, now you got me hooked. I want to know the answers.
It's really great stuff. Okay, so first of all, who was Hillel? Why was Hillel so connected to? So Hillel was a sage. He actually lived in poverty. There's a very famous story of when Hillel first wanted to go study in the Bet Midrash. There was a fee he had to pay. And you may have heard the story, and Hillel couldn't afford it. So he would climb on the roof and listen to the class from the sunlight, from the sunroof. Right, he went up there to listen to his classes because he couldn't afford to go into the class. And it was a heavy snow, and he got blanketed in the snow, fell asleep, and they rescued him. And actually, because of that, they changed the policy of the Bet Midrash, because they saw here was someone who was so desperate to learn Torah that they're willing to risk their life. And he actually created a shift and a change with how he created basically space within the Bet Midrash for people who couldn't financially afford things. So that's a really, really positive attribute of Hillel and a change he created. The second thing is, we know that a lot of debate, Talmudic debate, it says Beis Hillel says this, Beis Shammai says that. There's a lot of debate that describes the two different perspectives and mindsets. And Hillel always saw things in the more positive way. There's a quite well-known story of a convert came to Shammai, a sage, and a contemporary of Hillel, and said to him, I want to convert, tell me the whole Torah. And Shammai beat him away with a stick. Are you crazy? You want the whole Torah while I'm standing on one foot? Get out of here. Like, what an insult. Thousands of years of tradition, wisdom, godly, divine, and you want me to stand there on one foot and give it to you? Out. And he went away, and then he went to Hillel. And we all know the rest of the story. What did Hillel say to him? What's hateful to you, don't do to someone else. That is the foundation of Torah. Now go study. What was he saying to him? That first step is love, compassion, understanding. Treat others the way you want to be treated. It sounds so basic and so fundamental, but truly it is like it's the foundation. It's the foundation, which is why I think this Mishnah is such a fascinating segue from last week's Mishnah that contrasted these two varying perspectives on judgment, because what Hillel's saying is start off with being a better person.
and treating others well, treating others the way you want to be treated. And we see even the sage Rabbi Akiva said the same thing. Love your fellow like you love yourself. Because ourselves, there's no objectivity. We see, we understand what it is about ourselves, okay? How we could see ourselves differently than others. We all know this. This is, you know this, I know this. Humans know this. So we understand that that's a necessary ingredient. So now bearing that in mind with Hillel, his dedication to learning Torah, to the level of Mesirat Nefesh, to the level of creating change, his perspective being so different than maybe even a contemporary of seeing things with a positive eye, and him saying, okay, that's the rest is commentary. Now you can understand why, who is the sage he's quoting and saying, this is hashtag life goals, or this is the bar you want to set your life up to? Well, Aaron. Now, what is it about Aaron what is it about Aaron HaKohen, Aaron, the high priest, that loved peace, pursued peace? What's the difference between the two? Loved all creatures. Again, why does it say the word creatures? What was it about Aaron? So we all know, interestingly enough, the blessings for the generation in the desert actually came through Moshe, Aaron, and Miriam. Aaron, interestingly enough, what was in his merit? Not the water. That was Miriam's merit. Not the manna, the physical food sustenance, actually the clouds of protection. What's interesting about the Ananei HaKavod, the clouds of protection, they surrounded the Jews from all sides, kind of like this unifying cocoon. When I go eat manna or you go eat manna, we each have our own culinary experience, right? But when we're both surrounded in a cocoon, hi Sharon.
Hi.
When we're all surrounded in a cocoon in the desert, I'll catch up in a second. We're surrounded in a cocoon in the desert.
30, 31.
Oh, 30 and 31. Sorry. Thank you, Sarah. We're talking about this fascinating Mishnah that Hillel was quoted and known for saying that you should be like the disciples of Aaron. You should love peace. You should pursue peace. You should love all creatures, and you should bring them close to Torah. We started with a few questions. Who was Hillel that he was who was Hillel? Why was this his saying? We also discussed why was he referring to Aaron. There's so many other sages. Hillel lived in 3648 BC. Aaron was in 2448, not BC, Jewish year, sorry. Why of all biblical characters or people that existed before Hillel was Aaron the one he was like kind of drawing on, being like, we need to learn from it. And then we zoomed into a little bit, and then we want to understand also a little bit about Aaron's life. Why is it saying love peace, pursue peace, love all creatures, bring them close to Torah? And we dove a drop into Hillel's life, that basically Hillel, number one, lived in poverty, but he had extreme dedication to learn Torah. There's a very well-known story. He climbed on top of the roof of a Bet Midrash because he couldn't afford the fee to get into the study hall. There was a snow, he got whatever. Basically, he put his life at risk. And then they changed the policy of allowing poor people into the Bet Midrash. So he was someone who modeled, not by whining, but by creating active change. We'll actually talk about some of the other things he did later. We also discussed the very famous story of a convert that approached Shammai and a convert that approached Hillel and said, teach me the whole Torah on 1 foot. And we all know Shammai said, get out of here. What are you doing? This Torah is way, like, what do you want me to summarize everything? And we all know that Hillel said, that which is hateful to you, don't do to your fellow. That's the foundation of Torah, and the rest is commentary. And we talked a little bit about why that was so significant, and being that that's his mindset and his mantra and his framework, we understand why he really appreciated Aaron. Now we're zooming into Aaron a little bit. What was it about Aaron's life historically? What was it about Aaron's leadership? What was it about Aaron's nature that therefore Hillel's quoting him? And I will say this, we're not going to get through the whole class. I have a class, I'm teaching at 2, a different soul and study group. So we'll get through some of this and we'll pick up the pieces. I also explained, Sharon, that I felt like this was a really beautiful segue from last class discussing different seemingly contradictory messages about judgment. Okay? Make sense?
Yep.
Interestingly enough, the other passage about judgment that we contrasted last week, we discussed 2 different comments about judgment. One was judge everyone favorably, and the other one was don't judge someone until you walk in their shoes. Hillel was the one who said, Al tadanes chavercha ad shetegiya lemkomo. Don't judge someone as you walk in his shoes. So we're seeing already a little bit more about Hillel's nature. Okay? Okay, so we'll go to Aaron's life now. So what was the deal about Aaron's life? So we know Aaron was Moshe's older brother. We know that Aaron was, when it came to going to Pharaoh, he was the spokesperson. We also know Aaron had a level of humility, an extreme level of humility, but Aaron actually was a high priest, and the high priest was known, he personified a character trait of really unconditional love. And that's why it actually says, Ohev et habriot. He loved all creatures. You and I sometimes we look at someone and they seem like they're literally just a creature. We can't find any redeeming quality in them. Aaron would. Okay? But what is it about loving peace and pursuing peace? So how did Aaron love peace and pursue peace? Aaron's love for peace was so deep and so strong, which is why he was the high priest in the Mishkan lighting the menorah, is because he personified that character trait. And in order to bring light into the world, and the light that emanated from the Mishkan and radiated outward to the Jewish people had to be coming from peace. Light doesn't come from toxicity and diversity. Light comes from peace. You ever walked into the house and everyone's fighting? It doesn't feel like a house full of light. Exactly. We understand what it feels like. It's the opposite of light. So we can understand why Aaron was a high priest. We can understand why he lit the menorah, and each of these we'll kind of unpack a little bit more. But interestingly enough, there's a Mishnah that discusses that Aaron was actually a great mediator. If he saw a couple having a fight, he would go over to the husband, and this is where it says he pursued peace. He didn't just be like, oh, I love peace. Kumbaya, I'm going to sit at my home and like, I'm a peaceful guy. He actually went out to create peace amongst others that were struggling, that were fighting, that were having difficulties. So Aaron's successful mediation saved marriages. He was like the first marriage counselor in the Torah. That's what the Midrash says. That he would go over to his husband and say, look, you know, your wife really wants to reconcile and fix this up. She's really sad it's not working. And then he'd go over to the husband and he'd say, you know what? Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
You understand where I'm going. He would go to the other spouse and say, your spouse really wants to work this out. This is not working for both of you, right? And he would approach them each, and he would try to help build each of them up with the goal of being peace and unity and harmony. And that's what Aaron was known for. That's what describes that he was, like I said, a successful mediator. And I'm just looking for exactly the quote that it says from the Midrash. He would do this for friends as well. My child, see, your friend is berating himself with remorse because of what he did to you. He asked me to approach you. He wants forgiveness. And then he would go to the other one and be like, your friend really wants to forgive you. He would really help people because you know what? The thing that stops us from forgiving people is what?
Our assumptions and expectations.
Our assumptions and expectations that come from our ego.
Our pride. Our pride. Yeah.
Ego.
Ego.
Right? Ego. And I think, you know, it's why one of the character traits that God's like, yeah, this one is not the best, you know, like this one we got to work on actively, because ego can get into a lot of trouble. So the Midrash really is kind of showing us how not just from friend to friend, but husband to wife, Aaron really helped transform people with love, with confidence in them, with believing in them. And he would never like, you know, I noticed you, whatever. He would always build them up and find that potential within them. And do you remember we talked about when it comes to judgment, that the only thing we really can judge is someone's, judgment is not only just based, it shouldn't be about behavior. It should be about the potential a person has. So when you want to judge someone favorably, even if you can't see their behavior as favorable, see their potential as favorable. So that's really what Aaron lived and modeled. And that's why he was the champion or the reason the Jews got the clouds of glory. Think of what the clouds of glory did. Harsh elements, snakes, rocks, sun, enemies, warm embrace, not like a bunch of little clouds, a big hug of a cloud from above, below, the sides. And I was saying before you jumped on, Sharon, that the manna was in merit of Moshe, and the water, the well of sweet water they had that traveled, the stream of water that traveled the Jews in the desert, was in merit of Miriam. So fascinatingly enough, when you drink a cup of water, I take my cup and I drink this whole cup. You're not going to be rehydrated because I had a drink, right? But if I envelop us both in something that protects us, like a cloud, right? That's the difference. The manna that the Jews ate was each person ingesting their own food, sustenance. The manna created this protective bubble from all the harshness outside. Now, how appropriate was it that it was in Aaron's merit? And you know what's interesting? When Moshe died, it says when Moshe passed away, it said that the Jews, I'm just trying to find the exact wording, when Moshe passed away, let's see in contrast. Because of his character trait, he was so endeared by the Jewish people, and they actually didn't realize that necessarily the Ananei Kavod was in his merit until he passed away. And then the clouds went away for a few days, and then they came back, but they realized, whoa, we got this in his honor. Like channeled this energy and blessing to us. And what's interesting is the narrative of Aaron's death stands out, that it says the entire assembly, and whenever it referred to assembly, meaning the Jewish people, it was referring to men, women, and children, like everyone. It didn't say the men and it didn't say the women, it said the entire assembly, right? And the entire assembly wept for Aaron for 30 days. By the way, we have a Jewish tradition. What do we have in the mourning process? Something called shloshim. That's the first time we see that. The entire assembly wept for 30 days. And whereas when Moses passes away, it says, and the children of Israel wept for him. So now that's not saying Moses was, obviously we're just showing that when someone, and again, the best teacher for us in life is someone who cares about you. Do you remember the video I showed you last week? I put on the group last week of the Rebbe with that young boy who was really torturing his mother and torturing his school, and he just really was struggling. And what was the Rebbe saying to him? Like, the Rebbe found that one redeeming factor. Oh, he's on it. Right? So that's where we believing in someone's potential is where they could rise to it. Because sometimes a person can't find that potential within themselves. Mm-hmm. Okay? So we can be that for someone else. We can be that with someone else. And obviously, when it comes to there's also a beautiful Midrash. Midrash Eliyahu Rabbah says that basically Aaron would gird himself, meaning get ready personally, and go to every Jewish home in order to teach Torah to those who are ignorant. Meaning he didn't wait for people to come and learn from him. He was proactive in teaching, but again, through love, through believing in the potential of someone. He was known as chesed, love and kindness. That's his nature. Interestingly enough, when it discusses the paraduma, the red heifer, and it discusses purity and impurity in the Torah, it said it had to be the high priest who was going to be the one who determined whether this person had to leave the camp of the Jewish people and be excommunicated or segregated, whether they're sarat, whether they're skin lesion it had to be the high priest who made that determination. Why? And it said because Aaron personified peace, so he wasn't looking at that person's lesion as just what it was, right? He was the lens that he saw that person through was love. So if you see someone through a positive lens, then when you see their flaws, you see it differently. When you see someone through a negative lens, then everything they do is a flaw. And by the way, I think that's for all of us in our day-to-day life. I remember once listening to Rebbetzin, she was talking about Shalom Bayit, marriage, and she was saying, sometimes anything our husband says or does is going to just drive us crazy. And then the next day, he's the greatest guy in the world. She's like, it's not possible. He actually didn't change. Sometimes it's just you. You right now, or whatever reason, hormones, mood, you're cranky, you're tired, you're stressed out. Every single thing he says and does gets on your nerves. She said, if you see this bothers me, but you could still see redeeming factor, then it's not you. Then, yeah, okay, he has room to improve. He's a human being. Yes, has room to improve. If every single thing a person is doing is rubbing you the wrong way, then you need to look inward. I actually said that to one of my children recently. It was, 10 p.m. and they already yelled at like 5 different people. And I'm not getting into a debate with the child. I just looked and I said, just think of the fact, just ask yourself, how many people did I yell at today? This morning. Again, it's not about the answer. Just think, how many people did you yell at this morning? And is it them or is it you? That was all. The child actually, I just walked away. There was no, I wasn't angry. I wasn't judgmental. I just made a statement. Child walked away. I guess I went back to bed or whatever it was. They came back an hour later, realigned. Point being that it starts within us. And I know this is a recurring theme that we keep saying, but I think we can't stop reminding ourselves that, because the only person we have control over is us.
It reminded me, last night, I think, Sarah, did you log on to hear the speaker? Yes, that was amazing.
Did you read her book?
No, but I am going
last year we did it for a book club, and the funny thing is we had it as one of the features for the year, and only me and Lee Moore read the book and showed up for the book club. So we're okay, but it's an amazing book. Highly recommend it.
Yes, I am going to order it. But I mean, everything she said was just profound. But one thing that really, really just made it just pierced my heart, was that, she had a son, or has a son rather, that has disabilities, I guess. He's blind, but at some point they thought he was, excuse the word, mentally retarded that they used back in the day.
Yeah.
So then the doctor, says, well, and limiting. And then another doctor tells her, he's going to become what you want him to become. And today he's a very functioning human being, lobbies in Washington, D.C., and so forth and so on. And I know, as well as Sarah has worked with, in her past with some very difficult population and so forth. It just reminds me again, to see the potential, it's okay. We have to use these labels, but don't let that get in the way of what that person really can do. And that was amazing, her story.
Next week, by the way, the lineup is insane. So I'll just tell you a little bit about each one of them. I know this is not what we're supposed to be doing here, but Nissim Black is this guy who was born to gang drug parents in the rap industry in Seattle. Not Jewish. Crazy life. Got involved, was in the rap industry in Seattle. He has videos of him on stage rapping. You can even he tells his story online. So you can even watch, if you want, beforehand, where there's documentaries of his life a little bit online. And basically he got involved in this gang duel, this gang battle. And one of his good friends was shot. And so he went into hiding. And when he was in hiding, he was like, there has got to be a better way. There's got to be, this is not the end all and be all. My friends are dying. There's something more. What am I doing? I'm literally in hiding. He said, well, it was for 2 months, for a while already. Honestly, look for his name online on YouTube and you'll find videos about him. Anyway, it turns out, so he starts studying Islam and he's like, maybe I should convert to Islam. I think maybe he did convert to Islam. Then there's some things about it that didn't resonate with him. So he started looking into Christianity. Basically, everything started bringing him back to Torah. Everything kept bringing him back to Torah. So he's like, there's something in Torah. And he started studying Torah, and him and his wife and his brother-in-law and his sister-in-law all converted to Judaism and live in Israel. Wow. Yeah. And raising kids like Belz Hasidic or Breslov Hasidic Jews in Israel. His life story is insane, and he's so inspiring because we've met him actually in Israel. He's so humble and he's so unifying. He still sings, he still raps, but his songs are meaningful and Jewish themes. The third one is, I think his name is Izzy Collinson. He was this young American boy who made Aliyah, wanted to join the army. They didn't want whatever. He got in, finally got in. Then his arm, he lost his arm. They call him the one-armed soldier. He lost his arm. They wanted to send him home. You're an American. We don't need you. And he's like, no, I joined my people. I want to save my people. He had to fight his way back into the army. They let him in, and he tells a story about a one-armed soldier. And the third one is the fourth one. They're all amazing. Like it's such a lineup. I don't share everything that's out there, by the way. There's so much out there, but this one, each one is like breathtaking. The fourth one, her name is Dina Rosenfeld, and her husband, you could also Google their story online a little bit. Her husband was a very dynamic, outgoing, boisterous rabbi in California, like a fun-loving clown, very intelligent, very outgoing. She was very quiet, withdrawn, whatever. And they got diagnosed with ALS, and suddenly his speech and when a paralysis of speech, whatever. And suddenly she was this quiet, introverted, he was always front center. And now she has to find her voice, and she has to raise her children, and she has to keep moving and be his voice. And he actually writes a Dvar Torah in a blog, which if you see, you could search him, Rabbi Yitzi Horowitz. Like each one of these are like just, the one I know least is Comments in the One-Armed Soldier, but I've heard he wrote a book. I've heard very interesting things about him. The other two, like hands down, I know you will not regret that time. Like quality. I think it's officially geared to students, but they said send it out to anyone. So I was like, we're all students. We're all students. Whatever, they didn't mind. They actually commented, if you notice, they commented, there's quite a range of people here from, right? I was like, yeah, represent. Okay, moving forward, so we could at least wrap up something, so I'll get some answers. So we know, we said, okay, that we understand the connection between Hillel and Aaron, their natures, their personalities, their mindsets, their perspectives. We understand why it says, like love peace, meaning really have it as a core value, pursue peace, meaning be proactive in it and try to help others make peace. Wrote, love all creatures. So whether you see value in someone, you don't see value in someone, because again, it's an interesting word, love creatures. Could say kol adam, kol adam, love every man. So Mekarven Torah and bring them close to Torah. So why is this a Mekarven Torah there? Obviously, Sarah read in the beginning that if a person wants to grow in their connection to Torah, connection to mitzvot, it's not going to happen with someone beating you over the head. And think of it for ourselves. So someone's going to try to shame us into changing our nature or changing our personality or our habits. It's never going to work. Positivity is the only way to affect change. In this case, I'm saying like with another person. So, and I really, really deeply believe it's something that, again, to me, the Lubavitch Rebbe really modeled, consistently modeled, seeing the good in everyone. There are so many more videos out there that you can find. I don't mind dropping some in there where the Rebbe saw the potential within others. Did I tell you the story last week of when a college student asked the Rebbe, what are you good for? Did I tell you that story?
No.
So a college student, you know, college students and their filter, whatever, fine. So they went to a group of college students to the Rebbe and they asked the question, what are you good for? And the Rebbe said, my Rebbe was a soul geologist.
Oh, okay. You talked about it on Q&A. That's where I heard it, yeah.
Okay, I told it last night. That basically, every one of us has a diamond within. The earth has diamonds, but you and I go to our backyard, we're not gonna find diamonds. We're gonna find mud and rocks and dirt and bugs, right? Every one of us has this diamond. A soul geologist could show you what's inside and tell you where to look for it, meaning within yourself, but you got to do the digging of your own, right? I did say that on the Q&A last night, which is on Instagram. By the way, Sarah, the reason we do the Q&A on Instagram is because it's different clientele. The students really love it, and it's the only place that they're not logging into. They're zoomed out. They're done. They have to do classes. They're out. They checked out of Zoom. I don't blame them. So I think that for me, that's the Rebbe modeled that was the Rebbe's model and mindset. And so we always try to emulate that. We try to personify that. And actually tonight and tomorrow is the Rebbe's Yartzeit. And it says a day of a tzaddik's Yartzeit, day of tzaddik's soul ascends, their life's mission hits this kind of crescendo and we tap into the energy of what their mission was. So I wish both of you, there's going to be between our Facebook page, go to Chabad.org. There's, I could send on WhatsApp another one that's a special 1 hour show tomorrow about the Rebbe's perspective on youth and the Rebbe's perspective on us as human beings. I encourage you to tap into the day and channel the energy into your lives in a real concrete way. Okay, just moving along, one more concept of Aaron I want to cover, which I think really, really is powerful. The Torah describes that Aaron's job was to light the menorah. And it says, "Bahalot chatanerot," when you ignite the candle, the flame, the light. And there's like a lot of interesting, like, it seems like a duplicate language. And so Rashi explains that it wasn't good enough for Aaron to just light the candle and walk away. You ever lit a Shabbat candle and it didn't quite ignite and take off? He had to light it in a way that it was an established light so it can give light to others. But sometimes in life, when we want to help someone out, it's not good enough to just be like, okay, like, here you go. Like, we have to support them so that they can then give their own light.
Mm-hmm.
That's a beautiful lesson. The other thing about the menorah is the menorah was constructed, because it's like one of the primary things that Aaron's like, there's portions, there's a whole portion that opens up with this instructions to Aaron. So it said that Aaron did this for 40 years. He lit the menorah, and yet every day it was like, he saw that mission of bringing light into the world and into the Mishkan as like part of bringing light into other people's lives. So that's also really, really interesting and powerful, like this excitement and zeal that we can have. But what they described that the menorah was basically the only vessel in the Mishkan, in the temple, and in the temporary traveling tabernacle that was actually constructed out of solid gold. Everything else is take wood, take gold, take silver, take things, make a 2x4, glue it, whatever. This was one chiseled out of one solid piece of gold. So it's why it's 7 separate branches. It could have been created with 7 separate, from a construction perspective, way simpler. So in it comes a very, very deep and powerful lesson about ourselves. And God wanted that something that brings light into the world should start off in unity. And the 7 flames in the temple menorah, right? We have now modern day menorah as 8 because the 8 exhibit, because we just have no other place for it in this house. There's no like break front or whatever. So it just sits here. A Jewish home, it's all good, right? So something that brings light has to start in unity. Okay? We have to be united. Yet it branches out into 7, representing the 7 different character traits in man. Do you remember Kabbalah talks about the 7 unique character traits? Chesed, loving kindness, gevura, right? So what does that mean for you and I? It means that, let's say we meet someone who has chesed. They're very outgoing. They're very extroverted. They may be very giving, very loving kindness. That's one type of person. And then we have someone who's gevura. They're more restricted. They may be more restrained, more introverted. Maybe they're even a little fearful, or maybe they're very strong and severe, gevura. Then we know Tiferet represents balance between the two, and Tiferet represents someone who has this like good blend of chesed and gevura, harmony. That's why it's called beauty, because it's beautiful when you can have a synthesis of those two seemingly different natures. We know that Netzach is someone who's very, very determined, competitive energy, drive, right? And we know Yesod has to do with people who have a foundation, gathering, condensing an idea. A connector would be Yesod. That's a certain aura. We know Malchus represents royalty, authority. That's someone who has Malchus. I think I skipped one. Hod. Oh, Hod, sorry, consistent. Someone who's consistent, someone who's devoted. All of these natures, we could look at these different types of people and we don't understand them, but the Torah is saying to us, no. Each one has light within them. Each one can bring light into the world. But it happens when we're united. So respect the 7 different paths, different personalities. When you respect them, interesting, it's the Mishkan, the lights of the menorah all faced inward to the center, to like the bigger flame. Meaning all of these different things have their own unique light, but we can bring them together, because what's known about the temple or the Mishkan is that the light from there radiated and illuminated the whole place. So light doesn't come from everyone being like me. Light doesn't come from everyone having the same nature, personality, right? Light comes from individuals being able to know their inner value and worth and being able to shine that. And that's who Aaron was. and the lessons that Aaron says. Now, obviously, this is a little bit more Kabbalistic and there's a little more layers that we touched upon. The goal isn't to be the same. The goal is to be able to be lit up, find our light and share it with others, and be focused on bringing more light and goodness into the world. So sometimes if we try to transform people and change people, whether it's a spouse or a child or a friend, it's not going to come through judgment, and it's not going to come through shame. It's going to come from the goal being unity, each person's gift and talent, and really wanting peace and goodness out of that person. So now with all of that we just said, it's no wonder that Hillel felt compelled to bring this lesson from Aaron. Because guess whose nature it matched? Hillel's nature. Hillel actually he created a document called the Prisbal. So basically when the Shemitah year would come, the sabbatical year would come, all debts would be absolved. Think of it as bankruptcy every 50 years. So leading up to it, people didn't want to lend anyone money because in a year, you're not going to owe me anything. So he actually created this legal document that transferred the debt during the Shemitah year to, the 7 year. Did I say 50 years? 7th year, the Shemitah year, sabbatical year. He would transfer the debt to the Bet Din, and then after sabbatical year back to the person. So he was a master, but even that's about peace and harmony.
I have a question that doesn't seem to be addressed here. I get all of this, but why did it start mentioning Shammai?
Yeah, I'm actually not sure. I would like to when I started with that, I was like, that's interesting. Like, why wouldn't, maybe my hypothesis is that this is a Torah true value that they both received, because it says they both received it from their teacher, Shmai and Naftali, right? How both of them translated that differently. But actually, when it comes to halacha, it comes to Jewish law, we actually follow Hillel's perspective. When they both thought of things differently, we follow Hillel's, because that's what the majority was. So maybe it's showing us how Shammai's nature took that lesson differently. Maybe.
But it doesn't go on to explain what Shammai thought.
No. Well, no, Shammai, if we were studying the whole thing,
maybe. Yeah.
Shammai brings plenty to the table as a sage and a scholar.
Yeah.
It's like maybe we both learned this, but this guy took it in this direction.
Yeah.
Maybe. I'm not sure. That's my only theoretical hypothesis, but I'm going to look into it for next week.
Okay, yeah, because there certainly are other places that give Shammai's perspective.
He gets some street cred elsewhere. I don't know if street cred's a thing with the sages, but why not? Ladies, I'm going to end, not because I want to, but because in 27 minutes, I am on to a different class, and I'm going to cover judgment, the 2 voices of judgment with college students. Wish me luck, 170 of them.
Oh my gosh.
They need it.
Yeah, I think right now. All right. Lovely ladies. It was great chatting. Sarah will be in touch. Sharon, we're not going to have Let's Talk tomorrow because we're waiting to get more survey results so we could design the summer sessions.
Oh, and I need to do my survey. Okay. Thank you.
Good reminder. Take care. Bye.
Thank you. All right. And then when should we come pick up the challah?
Tomorrow morning, 10.
Okay. See you tomorrow then.
Okay.
After 10. After 10.
After 10.